Billy Reeves here. Welcome to the Kscope podcast. Quite a lot to get through on this one, I'm delighted to say. Ozric Tentacles, The Pineapple Thief, Dan Tompkins, a new one from LUNATIC SOUL. Let's start off though with new signing Jon Gomm. The album The Faintest Idea is out now. Before we speak to Jon, this one is the new single. There's a video for this up. This is entitled Dream Factories.
Inside me, don't wanna be another wannabe or a production line facsimile. I see a single feather floating on a river, floating out to the sea. They make our dreams in factories.
Singer, songwriter, virtuoso guitarist and tremendous live performer Jon Gomm, with a lyric which expresses his views quite clearly on the current music industry, dream factories, and of course Jon and his partner Natasha have been running the Jon Gomm enterprise for quite a long time on their own, so I started by asking Jon down the line how they got involved with Kscope.
I was just pulled into the back of a van one time when I was just walking down the street, and was blindfolded and then just drugged, and woke up a few hours later with a pen in my hand and something that looked a little bit like my signature on the bottom of a piece of paper.
In your own blood?
No, I've been kidnapped many times, but the record label thing is a new thing for me. I started out self-releasing, and I just kind of always thought that was the way to go. I'd heard so many horror stories through my life of people signing record deals and then their album just being shelved, for example. So they've made the album of their dreams and think everything's going to be amazing, and their album is just shelved or released with absolutely no marketing at all, and that's it. So yeah, I've always been kind of frightened of it for that reason, and also I'm just naturally quite scared of kind of being rejected as well. Yeah. So honestly that's been a really big reason. So yeah,
fair enough.
Natasha just helped me book some gigs, and then that gradually kind of escalated, and she's the one who actually made me and organised making videos for the first time, and she made me do it, and so that went really well, and the videos became really popular, and we ended up travelling the world together. So we've been to every continent in the world together, and then we had a baby 3 years ago, and that kind of changed things. It's really hard if you're working together as a couple and traveling together. It's a little bit like being in prison together, being cellmates, and if you introduce a child into that kind of environment, it's really, really intense and stressful. So so she decided to quit, basically, which was very wise. And so then I was looking to see what I should do to get some help, because I can't do it on my own. And so whatever I was going to do, I wasn't going to be completely independent anymore. And I decided that a good way would be to try finding a record label. I didn't know any, so I started asking around, and Kscope came up twice. Once from a guy I know who does press, who I've known from back in the day in like local music scene, and one from Dan Tompkins, the singer from TesseracT, who's obviously on the label. I mean, that started when just some guy that I didn't know sent me an email saying that he wanted to cover one of my songs, add vocals to it. I would imagine that I replied saying, "Do I have to do anything?" And he said no. So I said, "That's fine." And so he just got the audio, recorded the a vocal along with the like instrumental guitar part that I'd released, and made a video of it, and it was really, really, really great, and I really loved it. So that's a Shaka Khan cover that I've been doing for years, and and then I checked out his band, TesseracT, and I just really loved them. I didn't really know that metal was allowed to be like that, because I'd kind of left metal by the wayside. And it's beautiful. It's got like a pop aesthetic to it. It's got an ambient sound to it that it's not anything like what I expected at all. So it's so complex yet kind of open and simple, and I just really, really loved everything about it. So people ask me to collaborate with them all fairly often, and I never do it because I either don't have time, or it takes me a long time to work out what I'm going to do with my guitar. So it's not, I don't like the style that I play. It's not something that you just kind of bash out, really. It's something that you have to work on each individual arrangement.
Yeah.
And so I was probably not going to do it, but Dan sent me the song that he wanted to do, and actually my stepdad just died recently, and I found this song incredibly helpful in a way that, you know, people have often said to me that they find, you know, one of my songs has helped them emotionally, and I've always appreciated them saying that, but I've never actually had that experience myself of having a particular song have that effect, but this one did. So I was, you know, really absolutely happy to do it, and it took me a couple of goes, but I got there in the end.
Bruised but forgiven. You talk like the world is against you. You're pulling yourself to pieces, but I'm never getting over you. Give it some thought before you fall. Think of yourself before you fall. I was fading out like a whisper in the
my producer is in Australia, so he came over for a couple of weeks, and we kind of talked a lot and got a sound, and then everything else is done remotely. So it's been strange. It means that everything's taken kind of this little 12-hour window. So everything that I've sent there's been a 12-hour lag before there's any response. But that's actually quite healthy in a way. And also, me and Andy know each other really well and can say anything to each other. Absolutely meticulous as well. So yeah, it's basically just me. So in terms of the recording that I'm doing with Andy, like going forward, it's basically just guitar and vocals, but it's kind of enhanced guitar and vocals. What Andy can do, because he's a synth guy, is he can build those things in a much richer way, where most of the sound on the recordings that we're doing is it's triggered by the guitar. So I play something and that triggers an effect, but some of it is played. So Andy actually plays the synth and kind of duplicates what the guitar's doing. So, but you still can't really hear it's there. It's an odd thing. So it massively layers the sound, but you can't always hear it. The possibilities are kind of endless, except I put this strict boundary on it, which is that, right, so Andy, everything that we do, it's got to work as just guitar and vocal. So the way I describe it is, if you were to watch me do it, but with the album audio, you shouldn't go, what the hell was that?
protected to protect her.
Jon Gomm. That is entitled Cocoon. Before that you heard Tempest, which is co-written with the mighty Dan Tompkins from TesseracT. The album is entitled The Faintest Idea. It's out now, vinyl CD, deluxe edition and streaming. All of us are fleeting and tiny, but we're all the same and interconnected, says John. So the title is somewhere between a metaphor and a pun. The Faintest Idea is out now. There was going to be a tour. It's been postponed, going now through October, November and December of 2021. There are some dates before that though. November the 15th, go to jongomm.com. That's JONGOMM.com for an online launch gig. And there's 3 socially distanced gigs coming up. November the 18th in Bedford, November the 19th in Milton Keynes. Then January the 6th, a socially distanced gig in Bury St Edmunds. Like I say, the tour starts in Dublin on the 1st of October 2021 and goes through to the 16th of December. An incredible live performer is John, and I thank him for his time. It was a delight to speak to him. Now we're going to take a little step into the next astral plane. Ozric Tentacles, the new album Space for the Earth, out now on Kscope, their 15th studio album. This is Stripey Clouds. Stripey Clouds, Ozric Tentacles from Space for the Earth. Now, a lot of the old gang were involved, but the recording was done during lockdown way out in the wilds of Scotland at Ed's studio. So I caught him on the phone and asked him what that was like, what it was like being on his Todd during the recording.
Yeah, it was a little, kind of sometimes a little lonely at times, because I am used to having a little bit of a bounce around with the ideas in a studio, you know, in mutual enthusiasm and laughter and hilarity and jollity and all that, you know. So it was a little bit more remote than sometimes, but I was able to quite often got people on the video chat and had them there, you know. So it was a little bit like having people there, but never quite the same, you know, never quite the same.
So 15 studio albums, 30-year career. It's very unusual for a rock band to be going for this long. Any regrets? Anything you do differently?
Oh, well, I'm basically, most of it, I mean, I don't really regret any of it, to be honest. I feel very fortunate that I've been able to do my favourite thing for most of my life and be able to just about survive from it, you know. And it's been basically fun all the way, I think, really. I mean, a few tragic things happen, as life does, you know, because it's been a few years. But in general, no, the general feeling is a very warm, very friendly, thankful feeling. And very happy to be still doing it, you know, with a whole new chapter unfolding.
So without the faces and the banter of the studio, that must have been a bit different, as we mentioned earlier. What was the easiest track to get together, and what, conversely, was the most difficult? What was the squeaky wheel? Well,
the easiest one to get together, funnily enough, is probably the strangest one on there, and the last one I did, which is called Kscope, which was just I just wanted to be silly, really, and so I just threw down this load of synths, and then I phoned up Nick Bengelder, the drummer, and said, look, I've got this track, do you reckon you can do it? And he said to me, well, it's very fast, but I'll give it a go. And yeah, it came together very quickly, that one, actually. It was amazing, quick. And on the other end of things, I'm not quite sure about the other ones, really. They've all kind of just grown together, as it were. It's like having a little garden, and you water all your plants, and they get riper and riper, and suddenly they're ready, and you pick them and you send them off to be mastered.
What's the future for live events and rock music, Ed, post-pandemic?
Well, I mean, it's a tricky question there, because I mean, I try to remain very positive about the fact. I think there's enough demand for people to actually play live and be seen to play live that I think it will come together. We have some gigs planned for the springtime, but that's just myself and my son Silas, who I forgot to mention was also on the album, actually, but there you go. Yeah, so we'll be doing our two-piece electro Ozric set to see how it is, you know, to test the waters and see what the live situation is like. By the middle of next year, hopefully there'll be some nice festivals to go to.
That's the title track from the new Ozric Tentacles album, Space for the Earth. As Ed mentioned there, a tour is planned for the spring, April and May, through many of the club dates at venues that are really struggling at the moment. So tickets are now available. Ozrics Electronics, Silas and Ed, supported by Silas and Sasky, so a real family affair. Now, we've just had the third record store day, as I'm sure you're aware, of 2020. The Pineapple Thief were one of those drops, uncovering the tracks. A 4-song red vinyl 12-incher, limited to 500, so good luck getting one. Although you can go to recordstoreday.com, fill in your location, and it'll tell you if your local record store has a copy of any of the drops. This then, one of the Pineapple Thief's earlier tracks, originally on Tightly Unwound, Shoot First, and the idea behind this project was redoing stuff with Gavin Harrison, the most recent drummer of the Pineapple Thief, who obviously had to learn some of their earlier material for touring, chose what he wanted, and of course added his own trademark sound and ideas. The Pineapple Thief with Gavin Harrison, Shoot First. The Pineapple Thief, Shoot First. Daniel Tompkins, best known for his work as the frontman and singer of TesseracT, releases a new album on Kscope on December the 11th called Ruins, a companion piece to his award-winning album Castles. New and heavy interpretation of tracks and some new stuff, really going back to his roots as a heavy rock, heavy metal singer. He's also taken up playing heavy rock guitar. This then, one of the brand new songs featuring Matthew K. Heffy of Trivium on vocals, The Gift.
Still, I hear your teeth grinding walls. Your silver tongue is silent to the soul. The sky imprints its gilded frame upon my vested eyes, and all creation of timid nature with the gift should shine until my dying day. Your gift will shine on display, a token of your never-ending love. Till my dying day, your gift will shine on display. Look at that bird, now I hear your words are binding, so sophisticated your voice must feel like lightning to an overbearing, ever-wearing soul. The sky imprints its silver frame upon my vested eyes. I watch your still reflection with its crystal shining
Daniel Tompkins from Ruins, out on December the 11th. That is entitled The Gift. And we'll be hearing from Daniel in the next Kscope podcast. See what he's been up to, which is actually quite a lot, I understand. Now, before I go, a couple of recent videos have popped up from Kscope acts, which you can find on the website or YouTube. Firstly, GODSTICKS from Inescapable Breathe, featuring the spectacular coastline of the southwestern peninsula of Wales. and Jonathan Hulten from his album Chants from Another Place, featuring Jonathan's trademark self-drawn, self-created animation. Beautiful stuff, both visually and orally. Where Devils Weep. Something we'll be talking about in the next Kscope podcast will be Porcupine Tree, the Delirium Years box set, 13 CD collection available to pre-order now. That's out on the 20th of November. Out though on the 13th of November, Lunatic Soul and the new album Through Shaded Woods. Mariusz Dudar, the frontman and driving force behind Riverside, his 7th LP under the moniker Lunatic Soul. This time eschewing electronica, all instruments played by Mariusz for the first time, so very much a solo affair, and as you'll hear, exploring the darkness and fairy tale aspects of Northern European and Slavic folk music. You can see the videos for the first single, The Passage, and this one on the Kscope site, and we'll be hearing from Mariusz in the next Kscope podcast. I'll finish with this then. Thanks for supporting the label and independent music. Spread the word. This is Lunatic Soul and Navi. Ta-da!